They say monsters don't exist. But what if I told you they walk among us, in plain sight? Imagine the chill creeping down your spine when you're alone. The unsettling sensation of eyes boring into you from the shadows. Yet, when you turn, nobody is there. Picture yourself in a crowded grocery store, heart racing, as an inexplicable dread clings to you like a dark, dark cloud. Monsters are real. This is American Whiskey, and every Friday we get together for Sip and Solve, where we dive into the bone-chilling tales that remind us of darkness lurks just beneath the surface.
What's going on there, ma'am?
We have a kidnapping. Hurry, please.
Explain to me what's going on, okay?
There's a note left and our daughter's gone.
A note was left and your daughter is gone? How old is your daughter?
6 years old. She's gone. 6 years old.
How long ago was this?
I don't know. I just found the note. And my daughter's
Does it say who took her?
What?
Does it say who took her?
I don't know. There's a ransom note here.
It's a ransom note?
It says FBTC. Victory. Please.
Okay, what's your name? Are you
Kathy Ramsey? I'm the mother. Oh my God. Please.
I'm sending an officer over, okay?
Please.
Do you know how long she's been gone?
No, I don't. Please, we just got out. Is she right here? Oh my God, please.
Okay,
Is there somebody?
I am, honey.
Please.
Take a deep breath.
Please,
Okay.
hurry.
Kathy.
All right, guys.
Kathy.
All right, so that's the 911 call here, guys. We're gonna get started here. There is a lot more to that 911 call. You just couldn't hear it in the video. Patsy didn't know she was being recorded at the time. But welcome back to Sip to Solve. I'm your host, Big Sturge, and this is American Whiskey. And you know what? I love America. I love whiskey. I know you do.
Oh, yeah.
We all do. And we're going to take a deep dive into some of the most, I would say the most puzzling case in the history of America. And we'll probably do it over a drink or three.
So, Sturge,
yeah.
I'm going to say this now because we always are on the same wavelength when it comes to these.
Seems to be.
Going to change tonight.
Unless we get made fun of by what's that one podcast?
I don't give a fuck about morbid.
Morbid.
I'm saying
those guys are
we are going to
weird.
debate tonight.
They jacked
We're gonna
off
have
to they jacked off to our whole episode. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
That was amazing.
Great
But
viewers.
we had like 500 comments and every one of them came from him and I loved it. But today we're tackling the case that haunted America the most for decades and still to this day It's unsolved. It's a tragic case of JonBenét Ramsey. And, listen, JonBenét was just 6 years old. She had her whole life ahead of her, but it was cut short on Christmas night of 1996. We're going to explore the details of her case, the investigation, the theories that, emerged over the years. And I think we were just looking at it today. There's theories today that are that are coming out. So
I'll hit on that later.
Yeah, we are. We all will. And we're going to grab our favorite drinks, but we're going to go around the horn. This is the co-host from the beginning, my best friend, Justice League.
How's it going, guys?
Peanut's doing research, hanging out on the side, maybe commenting here and there, but that's our guy. He's starting second shift, and this is one of the last Fridays he's going to be here. We're super sad about it, but we're excited for the new journey. We got a crowd too. We got some family members watching tonight too, and of course, I'm not trying to be rude, guys, but my favorite co-host, Kayla.
Hi.
And Levi, can you bring your picture up? He's over here doing production tonight. Levi, give it a smile. Give it a smile.
The man behind the scenes.
Yeah. Let's talk about what we're sipping on tonight. I think that's probably the most important thing. Well, it's not the most important thing, but it is important.
Oh, it's definitely important.
Tonight, I'm sipping on a little Field of Dreams. It's delicious. I think Phil and I, once we cracked it, we realized we loved it. My cousin got me one from the actual stadium, which we have not cracked yet. But turn your dad's mic on so he can share what he's sipping on. It's exciting to hear what you're sipping on tonight. But Justice League, what do you got?
Well, I'm drinking a good old natural light, but
Nothing wrong with that.
And you tasted it as well, have a good pour of a CYPB Weller today.
I wasn't impressed.
Ooh.
I was not impressed.
Apparently we're starting the debates and fights already. We haven't even gotten to
You're correct.
He tried came out, and at first I said the same thing, but as it chilled and watered down and proof went down a little bit, it got way better.
I'll tell you what, it wasn't worth $16, but I would pay that $16 for that drink because I love Tina and I love O'Connor's.
And it's a dream bottle for me to try.
It is a dream bottle, and I'm glad, you know what, you shared a little bit with us. It was great. What, are you sipping at anything tonight?
I am high quality H2O, believe it or not.
Are you going to have a drink with us tonight or not?
Yeah, you twisted my arm.
Oh, yeah.
Hey, give this guy a natural light.
Natty light.
All right. So, Kayla, of course, that's going to be your name for me for now on. Kayla, what are you sipping on tonight?
I am sipping on something I'm super excited to talk about. My coworker Carl has his own whiskey brand. Hey, Carl. Carl. Yeah, he definitely doesn't hear that at work every day, and he's super not sick of it either. Carl. But it's a 95% rye, 5% barley whiskey that's 2 years, but then finished, or no, 3, and then it's finished in Oregon wine barrels. Ooh. Like Oregon has mad Pinot grapes. Like we are a huge wine area too. So he finishes the whiskey in those. It has really nice jammy kind of fruity notes. Obviously, I'm bringing some bottles to Ohio, but in early April, it's going to be available to order on our distillery's online distributor.
I cannot.
So, yeah. I'll be sure to send links, but super excited for him. He started this brand in 2020 through the distillery we both work at. It's very much a project of him just wanting to find a whiskey that whiskey lovers can enjoy, and maybe people who don't like whiskey can find things they like about it. And it's been like helping out at events and stuff. People are always really impressed with it, and they're like, I don't even like whiskey, and I really like this, especially rye. Rye can have such a high spice note. Yeah, exactly. This mellows it super well.
Sturge loves his rye.
I'm a rye guy.
All right. Well, I'll bring one that we can drink when I'm there, and then I'll bring one for you to just have.
There's nothing better than a good spicy whiskey, and the only way I can get it is through a rye whiskey. So, listen, it's not Tuesday, guys, so we can't sit here and talk about liquor all day because we.
Yep, I know. Sorry. I went off on a thing. I don't know how to help.
Listen. I love it. Okay. We are super excited for this journey that we're on. We're really, really, really excited to have Michaela. And listen, I'm going to say that every time I say her name. And,
I mean,
but
it's
listen,
capital, it makes sense.
it does. We're going to get started. We're going to talk about, the night of this incident, right? It's on December 25th, 1996. The Ramsey family celebrates the Christmas in Boulder, Colorado. And guys, what a joyful night, right? It's supposed to be a joyful night. It's family, food, excitement, but it turns tragic. The next morning, Patsy Ramsey found a ransom note that demands $118,000 for JonBenét's safe return. Michaela, I think you had something interesting to add to that.
Yeah. So the ransom note itself was 2.5 pages long, which is kind of atypical. And it was handwritten. Normally you're like 2 to 3 sentences, but this was like almost like a manifesto. And the $118 or $118,000 specifically was a Christmas bonus that her father had received.
Damn, her dad must have been really loved because that's a hell of a bonus.
Mm-hmm.
But what's even more eerie is that JonBenét's body was actually discovered just, hours later in the basement of their home. But it was the second search of the home that I believe JonBenét was actually found.
Right. And on that ransom note, Michael Baden, he was a forensic pathologist. He even stated, I believe he testified as well, and said in his 60-year career, that is the absolute longest and unbelievable thing he's ever read.
Yeah. And I love Doug's comment here. I'm lucky to get a jelly donut at the end of his, urine. That's amazing. But guys, the scene was actually really, really alarming, and the details of her death were really shocking, which we're going to get into that. She had been, she was strangled. There were signs of, the strangulation, and there were signs of trauma. Michaela, I don't know if you want to hit on that.
Yeah, one of the main things is the damage done to her skull. It was an 8-foot crack in her skull, and at 6 or 8-inch crack in her skull. And like at the age of 6, that took up basically all of her head. It looked like she had been struck by like a long metal bar or like hit on the edge of something really hard.
It's actually really hard to talk about these things. We're talking about a child. We're talking about, essentially a toddler, right? I mean, it's hard to talk about. So if this is something that's hard for you to talk about, I would suggest that you move on to another podcast, because we are going to get into some details here that are going to be
right. And what's shocking about what Michaela just said and what you brought up about the fractured skull is her actual cause of death was strangulation, which means after she was dead, then someone hit her with something.
And that maybe they were moving the body.
Yeah, or they hit her, thought she was dead, and then tried to like strangle her to finish her off. Like, there's so much confusion around.
And you have to realize we had that first search of the house.
Mm-hmm.
It was not found at that time. They were actually in that room. They did not find her at that time. So in between that first search and the second search, was that body planted there? And at the time of the moving of the body, was it, did they miss her, or was the body moved there after that? But what I find alarming at this point is this ransom note. And I think you really hit it, Michaela. It is the fact that it's peculiar, right? It's really lengthy. You hit that. And it seems almost like a theater writing. It almost seems like it's a script almost. And I love the fact that you hit on that. And many have even speculated was it real or not? Was it a real note? Was it a real ransom note?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, was it a diversion? Maybe a clue?
Yeah.
What do you guys think?
Well, I think it's just so out of character for what like a ransom note is. Like, it's factual, it's transactional. Like, here is what I have, here's what I want from you in return for giving you back the thing. And most ransom notes, most ransom notes don't have a signing off at the end, and this one did. Like, the killers pretended to be from some like foreign terrorist group. I think one of the things they said was, "We respect your business, but not the country you do it in."
Yes.
But they signed off on a ransom letter. The whole point is to be anonymous. Like, you don't know who took your thing, so just deliver the money, and this will be delivered. Like, you'll be able to pick up your daughter.
Yeah, there was a lot of details in this letter. Like, how did somebody know that he got $118,000? Right? I mean, that is a really, nobody says, "Give me $118,000." If I'm kidnapping your ass, I'm getting $1.5 million.
Well,
you know what I'm saying?
Oh,
$2 million.
well, sorry. Go ahead.
The worst thing about the letter to me is I have the text of it up here,
Can you read the letter?
and it's a lot, but I'll read it.
Yeah, let's read the letter.
It says, "Mr. Ramsey, listen carefully. We are a group of individuals that represent a small foreign faction. We respect your business, but not the country that it serves. At this time, we have your daughter in our possession. She is safe and unharmed. And if you want to see her, or if you want her to see 1997, you must follow our instructions to the letter." It says, "You will withdraw a $118,000 from your account. 100,000 will be in 100 bills, and the remaining 18,000 20 bills. Make sure that you bring an adequate size attached to the bank. When you get home, you will put the money in a brown paper bag," which I don't know a bag that's that big.
Right. Especially, can I just pause real quick?
Absolutely.
Or it might be in the note. Never mind. Keep going.
I will call you between 8 and 10 a.m. So obviously they have his number tomorrow to instruct you on delivery. The delivery will be exhausting, so I advise you to be rested. If we monitor you getting the money early, we might call you early to arrange an early delivery of the money and hence a earlier pickup of your daughter. Any deviation of my instructions will result in the immediate execution of your daughter. You will also be denied her remains for proper burial. The two gentlemen watching over your daughter do particularly like you, so I advise you not to provoke them." Well, if they like him, that doesn't make sense.
Right.
"Speaking to anyone about your situation, such as police, FBI, etc., will result in your daughter being beheaded. If we catch you talking to a stray dog, she dies. If you alert bank authorities, she dies. If the money in any way is marked or tampered with, she dies. You will be scanned for electronic devices, and if you are found, she dies. You can try to deceive us, but be warned that we are familiar with law enforcement countermeasures and tactics. You stand a 99% chance of killing your daughter if you try to outsmart us. Follow our instructions, and you stand 100% chance of getting her back. You and your family are under constant scrutiny, as well as the authorities. Don't try to grow a brain, John. You are the only fat cat around, so don't think that killing will be difficult. Don't underestimate us, John. Use that good Southern common sense of yours. It is up to you, John." And then they put victory, SBTC. Where's the victory at?
Well, you know what I
know.
Go ahead, Michaela. Go ahead.
Oh, I was just in turn, like, the victory part of me is like, is that the sign off as in like best regards or like victory, and then they sign off? It just feels like a nonsensical, like, that's kind of why I thought it sounded like a manifesto. Is a lot of the words that they used are found in like Dirty Harry, like some of the phrases. So it seems like it's from a cinematic viewpoint where they're pulling from heist and ransom movies to try and make this letter seem legitimate, which only contributes to it being more suspect.
I think, and that's really good. I love what she just said. I think
100%.
What I listen to, I'm listening to those words. I'm a writer, right? So that's what it sounds like. It sounds like a script. What are you acting like you're a fucking terrorist? Because they don't act like that.
No.
Have you ever listened to a foreigner talk? No offense to them, right?
I mean,
but they do not type like this. They do not sound like this. The other thing that you see here, you're talking so confident as the crime, like as if the crime has already happened, right?
But then
if you talk to a dog, your daughter's dead. If you do this, your daughter's fucking okay. So if I breathe, my daughter's fucking dead, right?
Right.
So if I woke up tomorrow and I saw this letter, I think I'd laugh, right?
I'd be like, "What the fuck is this?
This is fucking stupid."
I mean, to me, if he worked at a business where everyone's public, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You just said we are a small foreign faction.
Yeah.
You just dwindled down suspects so much because they obviously know him. They have his phone number, apparently.
Yeah. They know the exact amount of his Christmas bonus.
And they like him. You just made that circle so small, you'd have been caught in out.
One would think.
Well, one of the things I was going to say, the bill designation for the money is the 100,000 was supposed to be in $100 bills, and then the remaining 18,000 was supposed to be in $20 bills.
Yeah,
which like put that in a brown paper bag. Like, sure, let me just fucking find a paper bag that will fit.
Yeah, the thing is, Gordon even just said just now. Michaela makes a good point. It sounds like a Die Hard movie script, and that's what I'm saying. As writers, right? We're both writers. We both we do these things, and it just seems too well scripted. I'm telling you right the fuck now, if somebody is in the midst of making this act, they're not talking like this.
Look, I'm telling you,
right?
I have no prior experience, and I can make a better ransom note.
Well, but Shauna Snyder says Michaela is a baddie. I agree.
Hi, Shauna.
But go ahead.
Going back to the linguistics aspect of it. Sorry for interrupting, but sorry, but I'm still gonna do it. I guess it's like, so one of the things as I was studying different linguistical analysis stuff is oftentimes when you're speaking a language that is a second or third language to you, a lot of the colloquialisms like fat cat, that's not something that translates well to someone's primary language. They're like, what, a gordo gato? Like, what the fuck does fat cat mean?
It's actually interesting you say that. Phil and I are in the middle of a class right now, and there is somebody that's from another country, South Africa, somewhere. They were trying to explain something that was interesting, but they couldn't find the word intriguing, and that's what they were looking for. And they found the word that they used it just because we knew what they were trying to say. We did understand what she was saying, but it was interesting. She was trying to find that word, and it still made no sense, right?
Totally.
And that's what you're going to get with somebody that's not from,
Agreed. Yeah, because when you say by the skin of your teeth, teeth don't have skin. Right. So what does that mean? It's hard to, because all of those things are shortened phrases that describe a particular feeling or circumstance outside of laying it all out. And so for a supposed foreign faction to use fat cat, which is huge in movies, once again tying back to the cinematic, that's not something that someone
An
who's
Iraqi's gonna fucking know. Nobody from Iraq or a terrorist group is gonna say fat cat.
Like, I feel like the person that wrote this literally Googled how to make a ransom note.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And apparently cleared their history because we found no evidence of it.
Well, it was also 1996.
So let's get back. Let's okay. So Boulder Police Department's initial investigation, it's facing numerous challenges. I think we can all agree on that. I think at first they read this letter, they're probably thinking like you and I, right? They're thinking this is fucking set up. It's a script. So they treated the Ramseys as the victims initially, but this leads to criticism later on. And
I can touch on that.
yeah, I want you to. I mean, because that's what it was, right? So they treated them like a victim at first.
Yeah. So you heard the 911 call. They thought it was initially a child abduction. As soon as Patsy Ramsey got off the phone with the police, and she hung up on 911, so you could hear the operator trying to talk to her after. And she just like says her piece and then tries to hang up the phone. And then after that, she calls a bunch of her friends and gets a bunch of family support. So while it's still a crime scene, it's still an abduction, but they invite a bunch of people of their neighbors and friends to come over to support them. And I say quotes because I don't know what the intention was. In Patsy's initial interview and her statements to the police, she says that she only read the first part of the letter and didn't read any of the rest of it because she just saw that her daughter had been taken. So she left the note, went up to JonBenét's room, and then saw that she was not there. So that's when she screamed for her husband, John, and then went down and called the police, and then called everybody else. So as soon as the lead investigator arrives, everyone else shows up, and they're just totally destroying this crime scene.
Yep.
Which they didn't know, it's still a crime scene, but they didn't know it was a homicide scene. And I think that's part of what made this case so difficult is there was so much evidence pollution. Yeah, we'll get into the craziness of it, but from every step of the way, the police had to fight against a torrential downpour of just
inconsistencies.
Evidence. Inconsistencies, they had nothing to go off of.
And I think it's really all I think that point's valid. And it's 1996. I think we had a comment. It was Gordon Shinerman said something. There wasn't internet back then, right? So
it was just beginning, yeah.
Yeah, man. We're talking fucking movies and TV shows.
Well, it was still HTML. Yeah, well, it was HTML web pages. Yeah. What is it? The Bo Burnham song, "Welcome to the Internet." It was travel blogs.
So you look at or news coverage, right? We still had news coverage, 5 o'clock news. So I think the media coverage was probably pretty intense then. But this case, I mean, right off the bat, it becomes a national obsession, which we know now, right? We see it every day in crazy cases.
And it happens so fast.
It complicates everything, with so much attention, the public perception of the Ramseys completely shifted dramatically from grieving parents, to be honest with you guys, from the grieving parents, right? To what? To what? Suspects.
Yeah. Well, and part of the national, and we've got a little clip of it, but part of the
we're gonna play
issue, yeah. But part of the issue of why it went national, because obviously the people in Boulder knew what had happened, but the reason that it became such national news is instead of following through with the police and giving all of their statements, the Ramseys had business stuff and they had these travel plans, so they fucked around after the murder and then decided to do an interview with after she died. I mean, it's a murder, but they decided to do an interview with CNN
Yep.
before they had even given the statements to the police, outside of like the night that she was found. And Patsy, Patricia Ramsey's conduct, like, she looks like someone who is eating Xanax like it's going out of style, and whether it's to like cover guilt or cover grief, we don't know. But her description of her experience when she found the ransom note and all of that is like, it's crazy to see. But yeah, roll the clip. And it's going to be a few
When you
seconds.
return to Boulder, you will sit down with the Boulder police.
Absolutely. Absolutely. We want them to know everything possible
Everything.
that can help them.
Whatever they want, whatever anyone wants, we will cooperate.
Again, it's a mystery at this point. Do you truly think the perpetrator will be found?
Nauseating beyond belief.
You know, America has just been hurt so deeply with the tragic things that have happened. The young woman who drove her children into the water, and we don't know what happened with the O.J. Simpson. And I mean, America is suffering because they have lost faith in the American family.
I couldn't read the whole thing. I just gotten up. We were it was the day after Christmas, and we were going to go visiting. And it was quite early in the morning, and I had gotten dressed and was on my way to the kitchen to make some coffee. And we have a back staircase from the bedroom areas, and I always come down that staircase, and I'm usually the first one down. And the note was lying across the 3 pages across the run of one of the stair treads, and it was kind of dimly lit because it was very early in the morning. And I started to read it, and it was addressed to John. It said, Mr. Ramsey. And it said, we have your daughter. And it just wasn't registering. And I may have gotten through another sentence, like, we have your daughter, and I don't know if I got any further than that. And I immediately ran back upstairs and pushed open her door, and she was not in her bed. And I screamed for John.
Michaela, hit it.
Yes. So one of the things that I found interesting about this interview was when she kind of started to talk about how America is struggling.
Mm-hmm.
And then she named 2 specific cases, O.J. Simpson.
Yep.
And the other one was Susan Smith, who drove her car with her children into a lake, and she sat there and watched them drown.
Yeah, she's a bitch. Sorry.
Yeah. And so the 2 examples that she pulled up of America struggling was people who are guilty of their crimes.
Yeah.
And it felt like she was almost self-selecting herself to be within that group of people who have committed crimes.
Was that the guilt that was getting to her?
That's part of why so much of this circumstantial evidence can just be pointed towards one person or another, because all of the family members' conduct around this investigation was like weird at best.
Yeah.
Right. And you brought up that they were doing media interviews before they were talking to the cops and everything. It actually, they were resistant on doing interviews with them, but they would go on national television and do these interviews like they just wanted to be seen.
Yeah. So it was almost like they were trying to get ahead of the story and ahead of the investigation. And this is like tinfoil hat, but they're already poisoning the jury by trying to portray themselves as these grieving parents who are upset about
And as
their...
far as the jury goes, we're talking about the American people.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. Like whoever could potentially be on the
Because there's
jury.
never been a jury set place for this crime.
Right. True. Yes. Good point to make. But like whatever potential jury, if they were to have been charged with anything, the first thing that they would have seen before any of the investigation details would have been their interviews as grieving parents.
Yeah. And I think I want to take this. So listen, there's a lot of ideas out there, right? There's a lot of I guess theories, right? And the idea of an intruder has been something that was in my mind for a while when I started looking up the case months ago, right, Dylan? I mean, over a year ago. It's been debated extensively, right? I mean, but some evidence points to the actual possibility of this being somebody close. So and you guys are bringing stuff up here. I would like to talk about who do you think who did it? Who are the suspects that emerged during this time? Michaela, are you?
I do have ideas. So
I want to hear your ideas, the theories about both family members and potential intruders even.
So let's see where to start. Okay. So
whatever you want.
I know. So Patsy Ramsey was a former beauty pageant winner that was like in her family. So that's why JonBenét had been entered into that stratosphere. And one of the family friends of the Ramseys had commented on the trophy case having JonBenét's trophies. And she said, "Oh, those aren't my trophies. Those are my mom's." So, like, already child beauty pageants are, like, icky to me.
Yes,
but the fact that, like, even though she was the person who won the trophies, she said, "They're not for me. They're my mom's." That's wild.
Yeah, I agree.
I think that it takes a special sort of, and I've never met the woman, but like heinous person to not only live vicariously through your children, through things that you did not attain in your own childhood or through your life, but the fact that your 6-year-old daughter knew that those were your trophies and not hers speaks to a bit of like out of touchness, or perhaps like an intensity that I think could, oh mamas, please don't knock that over, could speak to something darker lurking under. A lot of the evidence, and I do also think it was like an intruder, but
You
with
said
the ransom,
you do think?
I do think it was an intruder, but I don't think it was an unknown intruder.
Gordon Shinerman said, "Was there evidence of a break-in?" Yes, they at least so a lot think that was planted evidence, but there was proof.
Yeah, so they had in the wine cellar that she was found, there was a broken window. Or yeah, basement. So in the basement there was a broken window, and John Ramsey stated that he had broken it a while before and just assumed that Patsy would have called someone to fix it, and it just wasn't fixed. But he had also, in another statement, said that he would open the basement windows, not the one that broke, but like open basement windows because the basement would get hot.
Mm-hmm.
My apartment is in a basement. I've never been in a basement that got hot. Basements are always cold.
Heat rises. That's why.
heat rises. And like if the window is broken, why do you need to open another window?
Yeah. But heat always rises. So if heat's on the ground, it's going to rise.
Mhm.
That's why
It's not
wine
gonna.
cellars are in basements. Why are they
Yep.
not in the third story, the second story, the first story?
Yeah.
Because
So
basements are
yeah.
way colder.
So the other facet of my theory is which handwriting analysis I understand is an inexact science, potentially a junk science, but like
I
even
wouldn't say
just
junk.
to your but even just looking at handwriting samples of Patsy and the ransom note, there are specific letter to letter, I guess, tendencies. Like for me, if I'm going from a letter to an L, it's always going to be
But you
a
have to
cursive L.
understand, if you know they're going to look for that, are you going to do the same handwriting?
But I will also say forging someone's handwriting for a 2.5-page note, like forging a signature is one thing, but forging a 2.5-page manifesto ransom note, that's totally different. Because
Alright.
you have to mimic that style for the entirety. They also found
True.
a false start ransom note because the ransom note was written on a
Yes.
legal pad in the house, was written by a pen that was in the house, and they ended up finding the beginning of a ransom note that initially started Mr. and Mrs. Ramsey, and then that was scrapped, and then it was just Mr. Ramsey.
Yeah.
So in my theory. So, okay. Long and short of it, I think that Patsy might have been having an extramarital affair, and I think she might have been the one who killed JonBenét, and she wrote the ransom note to try and help cover his
I'm
tracks.
completely
That's what I
opposite of
think.
her.
That's what I think. I think she was also something
You
on the
think she
side.
killed her daughter?
No, I think he was a creep, and I think he killed her daughter, and I think in a panic, she tried to cover it up.
Do you know who John Mark Carr is?
No.
Read about him. So in 2006, there was a man named John Mark Carr who actually confessed to the murder of JonBenét.
Mm-hmm.
He was the school teacher at the time, and he confesses to this crime. And it's really interesting. A lot of people, if you confess to a crime, all right, you did it, you're going under, right? But there's a lot of false confessions, and it's really hard to understand it, because why would somebody go into an interrogation and be like, hey, I did this, right?
Yeah.
There's a lot of reasons, because they may have done something initially that's going to put them in prison on death row. So they're like, I know something about JonBenét, right? And if I tell you, you have to give me a what is it?
A plea deal.
A plea deal. Thank you.
Kind of like
yeah.
Yeah, but there was no evidence that John Mark Carr did anything. But what I do find interesting is, first off, I'm gonna tell you, there's the dad did it, and here's why I think the dad did it. First off, who puts their fucking kid in a child's pageant? That's for pedophiles.
Well, so I'll say but the child pageant was like the mom's idea. Like, granted, the dad did say, yeah, okay, but like the mom, I feel like that came from the mom.
Listen, I'm not saying every person that puts their kid in a fucking child pageant is a pedophile, but what I am saying is this was something that was forced upon her, right? Her mom was a pageant winner, correct?
Yeah. Yep. Her mom and her sister. Or
she was beautiful.
Her mom and her aunt.
Her mom was very beautiful. But I look at this and I think, first off, I think the dad's odd. I look at these interviews, I listen to the interviews, and I think to myself, the fucking dude's odd. Like,
he did. Yeah, I don't disagree. He did have some of the oddest behavior during the span of time when it was when it morphed from a ransom to a homicide. So Linda Arndt was the investigator who came on the scene, and both of the parents, both John and Patsy, were spending time in different rooms. And like, just to give some context as to why the $118,000 is crazy, is John's company that he was president of posted $1 billion in profits in 1996. So like he was fine.
That's a lot of
That's
fucking
like
money back then.
stupid rich money. Like these are like rich. Their house was, I think, over 7,000 square feet, five bedrooms, 8 bathrooms. He had his own private plane. He also had a company plane that he could use. They had a yacht, which the boat will come in later. But he was just like sitting in a room, staring at a wall, and just seemed to be like disassociating. And so Linda, Detective Arndt, realized that he was kind of like in this mental like hole. So she thought she would be doing him a service of like, I know that our like initial officers, they did a perusal of the house. And those officers, when they went to the basement, because it was supposed to be a home invasion and that basement locked from the outside, they just saw the door and they were like, oh, well, no one could have come in through there because it's still locked from the outside. So they didn't even check the room that her body was in.
But
Can I stop you for a second?
There's also reports that they did walk that room.
Really? Oh, okay. What I found was that they didn't even walk the room.
So before you go too far, Michaela, I want to say who I thought it was because it has to do with that. And I thought we were going to disagree with this. Very close.
Me and you?
Yes, we always are. I think the mom did it out of jealousy that she was winning all this stuff. She told her husband, and he helped hide the body. Because
where was the body when they searched it though?
So it was in the basement. Like she was saying, the doors were locked, so they just did a quick scan and left. Arndt actually asked the father and a family friend to do a check of the house and see if anything was amiss, if anything was stolen, broken, whatever. And she followed them throughout the whole thing. The very first place they checked was the basement. He went straight to this door that was latched, opened the latch, and then ran in and grabbed her body.
Yeah, because
he knew where it was.
Yeah, because she sent him off on the errand. And then as soon as he like leaves and then comes back, he's like pulling her from the crime scene, like holding his poor dead daughter's body, and is like, whoa. Like the first place that he goes and checks is where she is.
He went straight to
So here's what I think. You think the mom did it?
Yeah.
I don't think the mom did it. I do not. I think I think the dad did it. I think the dad was a sicko and the wife knew he was a sicko. We saw it in the Menendez brothers, right?
Right.
You know, he's doing something, but the wife is so about this pageant lifestyle that she wants to cover these things up. She goes to the pageant, she wins it, she comes home. JonBenét's 6 at the time. And I mean, I don't want to go into detail, but with, you know, some of these things, it gets to a point where you're going to say something, right? And so,
sorry, go ahead.
No, please stop saying sorry all the time. You're totally
well,
fine.
Well, I know there's like also the time zone thing. I think like I am of two minds. So I do think the mom could have known or been involved. Like
It's hard for me to think that mom could fucking kill the child.
But we
you've never met my mom.
My biological I get it.
But sir, to go back to what Michaela was saying about how they found John, or not John, the dad, just staring at a wall.
Yeah.
I really think that the wife came to him like, hey, I killed her. And he was just in so disbelief that it had happened that he was in shock. But he loved her, so he helped her conceal it.
But if you look up the husband's past, he's very controlling. So
apparently she was too with the pageants.
Yeah, but
I was like, because that's the thing, like
winning.
having a CEO
She's
dad
a winner,
and a
She's a winner. She's a winner. She won.
Well, and so is the dad. Like the psychopathy that you have to have and the detachment from human emotions to like both be a president and CEO of a $1 billion company and be a multi-title beauty pageant winner.
But how many people
neither one of them
authority,
feels
men,
well adjusted.
How many people with authority that are men you find molesting children? Priest, rich men. Am I wrong? Do you see what I'm saying? So it's like,
you're not wrong.
Just because he has this, that gives him every ample opportunity to do the things that he wants to do because he is who he is, right? You look at is it P. Diddy in prison right now? Is it P. Diddy?
Well, he's not in prison yet, but
he's in jail, right? He's in jail, county jail, right? He might get off. Why? Not because he didn't do it.
Because he got fucking
who he is, the money that he has. So it's hurtful to hear that the dad could do it, but it's really mind fucking to think that a mother could do it, right? She birthed a child, and
well, I think one of the things, and we can tie him back to Susan Smith, which is why I thought it was particularly interesting that she brought that specific case up too, because if it had been just like OJ or like she could have just picked serial killers as the example of how America is struggling, but she picked two individuals who definitely fucking did it.
Yeah.
So
and like she self-selected the group of peers that she was aligning herself with. Like that to me is what's wild.
Right. So Peanuts over here been taking notes. You've heard what has been going on and everything.
Before we get to what he thinks though, I have one more. This is the
we've all got one more.
It's the dad, or it's Bill McReynolds. Bill McReynolds is the Santa Claus. Everyone's heard of the Santa Claus in the situation. Listen, he was at multiple different Christmases dressed as Santa Claus, showed a great amount of interest in her, right? In JonBenét. Dude was a fucking weirdo. I think he's a high possibility of we're talking Christmas time.
Right.
Honestly, and especially because they were at a Christmas party at someone else's house.
And he was dressed as Santa.
Yeah. And so now we're getting into autopsy stuff, but like their initial story was that after the Christmas party, I know mamas, it's so crazy. She's got crazy face.
That's her kitty.
Okay, she's at least, yes, Lady Meowington. So his story was that after the party, JonBenét had fallen asleep in the car. So when they got to the house, he carried her to bed, and that was the last time they saw her. But at the Christmas party, there was no pineapple to be found, but the contents of her stomach had pineapple in it. And so how could she have been asleep in the car and then taken to bed and yet have at some point ingested pineapple?
Do you think there was a fruit at the pageant with these little girls?
No, I think so. Her older brother Burke, who we haven't even mentioned, so I feel like we all don't suspect him, even though he seems like a likely culprit.
I don't think
so he was 9 at the time, but his favorite snack was pineapple with milk, which it's just cottage cheese and pineapple, but it was pineapple and milk with a glass of iced tea. She had pineapple in her stomach, so the thought is like at some point she and her brother were awake because he admitted to having a late night snack of pineapple, but when interviewed by police, he showed a clear sense of like avoidance and trying to deny that Pineapple had evidence.
He was,
Yeah, fully deceitful about it. So at some point she was awake in the home before she was murdered, and she was she ate Pineapple. So his storyline of events doesn't make sense.
Yeah,
Or John
fucking
John's
threatened him.
doesn't.
Like his dad threatened him.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, well, what I've been kind of finding here that kind of goes with the whole pineapple thing. You had a neighbor, Scott Gibson.
Mm-hmm.
He reportedly around midnight noticing the light in the kitchen was on. Then another neighbor, Melody Stanton, which is another neighbor, she reporting hearing a child screaming shortly after midnight.
Good point.
Yeah.
Then I also found in here, talking about the mom and the letter, this Michael Borden, who's a board certified forensic pathologist or whatever there. He actually worked on both sides of the case and never in his 60 years seen a letter written that way from an outside source.
Mm-hmm.
This guy's looking at millions of letters over his 60 years of experience, I'm sure, and never seen a goofy letter written that way.
Yeah.
And even, as far as, Patsy being involved, federal court ruled it highly unlikely Patsy wrote the note, citing 6 handwriting experts.
There's also a lot of fucking psychopaths that can really mix shit up. Dude, I'm telling you,
I mean,
it might sound fucked up.
Yeah.
There was a man that was a serial killer. We talked about him here. His name was Israel Keys. Most serial killers get caught within a couple years, right? He did it for 3 decades.
Damn.
Why? Because he traveled from state to state, county to county, thousands of miles every year, planted kill kits, and murdered people, right? Because that's outside of the realm. So I serial killers are a lot fucking smarter than we give them credit, right? You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Right.
So I don't think trying to, let's say you have your kid, you're molesting your kid, you're a fucking psychopath, and if you write this letter, because you already noticed the person tried to write the letter once, they made a mistake.
Right.
So then they try to rewrite the letter because they know if I do not write this letter correctly, there are people out there that are going to tie the fucking handwriting to mine. So we don't know. Was the dad practicing?
Yeah, that's true. Like
Was the mom practicing?
Like he had the most experience and the most evidence of what his wife's handwriting looked like. I guess I have a slight bias towards that because trying to forge a signature is almost like being an artist. Like you have to capture the pen strokes and be able to execute those. And it's just like, because I used to have shit handwriting as a kid. And one of my teachers, because I always drew on everything and doodled, and she was like, to make your shit legible, just picture each letter as like you're drawing the letter. And that was how I was able to have good handwriting. And now I have great handwriting because I literally draw every letter. But I know that trying to reproduce someone else's handwriting, you can't do it slowly because then you see like the little pen scritches. You have to have a confidence with each pen stroke. So I do see how, like, if it was the dad trying to copy, if it was John trying to copy Patsy's writing, he would have the most experience and see how she writes every letter.
But I don't think that was the case, though, right, Michaela? I mean, because he's trying to cover. If he wanted to frame his wife, he could have easily done it.
Yeah,
he could have framed the wife.
Well,
he's trying to frame.
Well, I was like, but didn't you?
He's trying to make it seem like a fucking terrorist.
Well, can I put a damper in Michaela's pineapple theory?
Yes, because I'm allergic to pineapple, so please do away with it.
She was found with pineapple in her stomach. There were photos taken of the kitchen, and a bowl was recovered. There was a spoon in the bowl, and who's the only fingerprints on that bowl? Patsy.
Did the bowl actually have pineapple in it?
Yes. The police.
So what? Like I'm like, hey, sorry, sweetheart, I'm gonna fucking kill you, but eat some pineapple before you die.
Maybe that was her way of trying
Or
to
was
pass
this
the
a
blame.
what? Or was this a? Listen, she was killed due to strangulation, correct?
Yes.
I think her body had been moved, right? Because where did the fucking skull fractures come from?
Right.
Well, and that's the thing, because they had a mag light in the house, which if you have a long enough one, you can't hide it in your car because then it's a concealed weapon. Like there are so many surface in a 7,000-foot house. How many surfaces could you? And this is gross and morbid as fuck, but like if you are upset or trying to overpower a 6-year-old child, how many surfaces are there at head height that you could just overexert your effort and then they crash into, and then you're like,
But listen, you said it's like you can't carry a mag light because I mean, how many maintenance guys are in this neighborhood? They got fucking hammers in their cars.
yeah, I always keep a baseball bat in my car, but I also keep a softball glove because if it's just the bat, then it's a concealed weapon. But if you have the glove,
there's no fucking way that her brother did it. I said there's no fucking way. He's 9 years old. There's no fucking way that he killed her, moved her body downstairs, and then fractured her fucking skull.
I will say,
you know what it takes to strangle a human being?
So the other thing is, I do see where April's coming from, because if her brother did accidentally kill her, her parents might be like, they don't want to lose both of their kids. So like if you found out that like one of your kids killed another one.
If I found out that my son killed his sister, we got fucking problems. And the one problem that we don't have is me hiding the fact that you killed your sister.
Right. But you're also like a person who has empathy. But if you are in the mindset of like a beauty pageant queen and someone who is a president and CEO of a company, you have that disconnect from like what is real humanity.
Well, maybe April's onto something.
Well,
like that's what I'm, like I see the arguments of like the brother being upset, and that's why I brought up the like pineapple as a snack thing, which like Patsy's fingerprints being the only one on the spoon I could see. But like if he just had it on the bowl. So like if she prepared the snack for him and then he was just eating it with his fingies from the bowl and she stole some and he just got pissed off, shoved his sister, she cracked her head, and then now his parents are like, fuck, what do? We can't let our 9-year-old go into the system for this. I could see a panic spiral of grief of like, fuck, my daughter is dead. But like she wasn't. That's the thing, is like it's strangulation and the thing. So like if she just got hit hard enough that she appeared to be dead, then they needed to craft this narrative of the ransom, of the strangulation. Like how desperate would a parent be who's already lost so much? How desperate, how deep would they go to just like double down and try and like protect their one remaining child? I'm not saying
that. I mean,
I'm not saying I think that, but it has happened. Like parents have covered up the crimes of one of their children because they were so afraid of losing them. So is it so far outside the realm of possibility that they discovered what had happened and they took steps to try and like make the best of it? And I say make the best of it very sarcastically.
Phil?
Okay, I got I'm going to throw a little monkey wrench in here.
Throw that wrench.
And on the protection of the brother. Reading the autopsy report here.
That's what I was about to hit.
Although no semen was found, there was signs of vaginal damage.
Right. That
Who
was something that
signs of vaginal damage with no semen found?
Well,
A 9-year-old.
so Phil, I'm going to throw a wrench in that. So they actually took DNA tests or DNA from everyone in the families.
Yeah.
There was there still is. They still have a little bit left. An unknown male that does not match anybody in the family. The district attorney has already came out and apologized and completely acquitted the family.
So the other question is, was that evidence there from the party that they were all at? And was the incident of the murder completely separate from the incident, like from the evidence that was found?
This is
they
a
were at a
fucking case.
right. Like, because they were at a party with a bunch of adults, presumably maybe children, but like super rich elite people. We know how that story can go. So what if that evidence was there before they left from the party, and then the issue of the murder happened and it's completely separate incidents from her murder?
You know, so I mean, we've got theories of an intruder, right? We've got, which is also supported by that. The unidentified DNA, correct, Dylan?
Correct.
I mean, that's a sign of an intruder. That's also going to back the theory of the basement
it can be
cellar.
an indication of an intruder, but but we don't know what was on her when she came back home.
But what I am saying is it's not the family, correct? You just said the district attorney came out and ruled the family innocent. They're not
on the shoddy evidence that they have.
So he apologizes. So just bear with me for a second. There's the theory of the intruder. It's supported by the evidence of the unidentified DNA evidence found on JonBenét that's still there, correct?
Yes.
They have one more chance to run this shit. But then there are the conspiracy theories that suggest cover-ups, right? Or even connections to other unsolved case. We talked about that even. But let's break down, the legitimacy of these. It's really difficult, right? It's really difficult to break these theories down. And you know what? Before we go any farther real fast, let's do Burned Out Winery's commercial real quick. These are our beloved friends of ours. You can see the t-shirt at the front, Burned Out Winery. We got their wine in the front. We're going to be there tomorrow. I don't know if we're setting up. I think Levi and I might be showing up, setting up, but check out this commercial. If you're looking for a unique wine experience, check out Burned Out Winery. Founded by a team of siblings who turned their passion for winemaking into a thriving business. They focus on crafting exceptional small batch wines from Moscato to tart cherry and spiced apple to their delightful sangrias. There's something for everyone. Each bottle tells a story, complete with a creative name that reflects their journey. Their wines are not only fantastic, but they're also affordable, making them a great choice for any occasion. You can easily order online at burnedoutwinery.com or connect with them on Facebook. They deliver. Whether you're local or out of state, they'll ship right to your front door. Support this hardworking team and savor the taste of Burned Out Winery. This is Big Sturge with American Whiskey.
All right, so we will hit what Sturge was talking about a little bit about an unidentified male. The theory is there's a guy named Chris Wolf. He was actually portrayed to be the one by an ex of his who stated that he left the house for hours on Christmas night, came back agitated and really muddy. Said he was acting really weird days following. He apparently had some hatred towards the Ramseys. There's really not much on that. It's just hatred towards Ramseys and his business connections. Something to do with Lockheed Martin. There was evidence submitted by Dilson, his ex, that Steve Thomas, the case's former lead detective, testified in 2001 that he wasn't even sure if they ever tested these items. So as a lead detective saying, I don't know if it was tested, that's fishy.
Mm-hmm.
There, and more on that, like this is all newer stuff. The dad actually came out, Ramsey, and said if they test what they have left and it comes back they still don't know, then he will give all kudos to the police that they did everything in their power. A father saying that, still wanting tests to be done with today's technology, is kind of pointing that he had nothing to do with it.
Right. He was just like, yeah, fucking run it. Like, let's see who fucking did this.
Yeah, I definitely did it.
I mean, a lot of this too, you got the looking down through here, there was a footprint that was on,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
in the basement.
That the dad threw away.
Well, they couldn't place a footprint. Of course, it was, basement open, window was slightly open because of the thing. And in that area, there have been more than 100 burglaries. If I can't even say the damn word right.
You got
In
this.
the Ramsey neighborhood the month before the murder.
Mm-hmm.
And there was actually 38 registered sex offenders within a 2-mile radius of Ramsey's house. And with her being on,
Yeah, beauty
pageants
pageants
and this and that, I mean, that's just, that's sitting up for a perfect storm.
I think one of the things that also was really interesting to me in terms of like evidence stuff was the ransom note was written on a legal pad in the house. The pen was used, but the duct tape and the nylon rope that were used to cover her mouth and also was the tool of strangulation, which so they made a garrote, but they used one of Patsy's paintbrushes.
Yep.
They snapped it into 3 pieces. The end with the bristles was put back in her paintbrush like organizer. They used the middle section for the garrote, the handle for the slip knot, and then the 3rd piece was never found. But duct tape and the nylon rope were never found anywhere in the house. And they also were unable to determine any signs that the duct tape had been put over her mouth while she was alive. It's like if you put duct tape over the mouth of someone who is breathing, because it is such a like fibrous like warp and weave woven thing with the plastic over, if you are breathing in and out, like you will push out and distend the tape. But the tape showed no signs of wear and tear.
So does that mean
would
it
be
was
seen.
put on her when she was dead?
Yeah,
Yeah.
post-mortem.
Yeah, it was put on post-mortem.
Sick.
And
That's fucking sick.
oh, absolutely.
That means you're
Like
literally
that's what also speaks to
Fucking
like
around with a dead
it being
girl body.
staged. Because like, and
The
the
dad.
thing with like she did eventually die from strangulation, but the initial cranial trauma was what made her appear to be dead, especially because it was so catastrophic due to her size. So if you're someone who's trying to stage something of like an abduction or a kidnapping, and then you just like are trying to cover your bases. I mean, one, why the basement? But the duct tape and the rope were never recovered. But why leave the ransom note pad and pet in the house? Like, why were those things left behind and easily identified? Like, the paper had the indents from the note that was written on it.
Yeah.
So why would you leave those behind, but not the duct tape and not the rope?
Well, I don't think when they did
Where's
that
the like
originally-
and
when
where's
they
the
did that-
cranial trauma like weapon? Like,
I
what
think people
actually
think that-
caused?
So here's the thing. Most criminals think they're smarter than everybody, right? So that first note they originally tried to write, they fucked it up. They didn't think people would find the fact that somebody tried to write a letter on another pad, right? They're they're
Well, but
smarter than
why-
everyone else. Like, but what they don't realize are these people are trained, right? They're literally, this is a fucking 6-year-old girl that's brutally fucking murdered. You don't think they're gonna fucking test your washing load that you washed the night before? They're going to
Right.
fucking test your every piece of insulation in your attic. They're going to test everything. So, but people don't. The people think they're smarter than most criminals think they're smarter than the police. So
I think the thing that sticks out for the like false start ransom note and then the one that was actually like found is like, why was the first one Mr. and Mrs. Ramsey, but then the second one was only Mr. Ramsey?
right.
And why did it focus so much on his business? And why was it so specific to the Christmas bonus amount that he had received? Like, I feel like this is a feather in your cap of like the dad did it,
Yeah.
because like it is a weird pivot to be like you should address both of the parents. Like, both parents have a fucking dog in this fight. So why would your first one be Mr. and Mrs. Ramsey, but then like the second one is only Mr. Ramsey? And this, I think, in my very biased opinion, speaks to maybe someone who maybe had affections for Patsy, for the wife, but like he started the note and then realized he didn't want to like implicate her or like even drag her into it, almost like he was trying to protect her from it. But like
Or she was trying to protect herself.
agreed. But like the pivot from both of you, just one of you, and then very specific business details about that. And the fact, like, this is the other thing is, I think Patsy did write the note because I respect your business, just not the company that you or that it services. Like, that's like, I'm not putting you down as a man because you're my husband and I appreciate what you provide for me. But I am a foreign faction and I need to have opinions about how the business that you do.
Yeah.
There's also a lot of pivoting between I and we language in the ransom note. And if it were from an actual faction, like a group of people, it would be we, our, this all the time. But it switches between third and between the two different tenses, almost like whoever wrote it couldn't always remember from what point they were speaking. Like, they were writing the note that they wanted to write, but then also remembered that they were trying to write it from a perspective of a multiple of people.
And we can go on for the next 2 hours on who we think did it. I think we can go on everything we think. And I really enjoy doing this, but I'm really curious what people think. So if you're listening to this podcast, shoot us a comment, on any platform. Yeah, whatever you think. But what I can say is the JonBenét Ramsey case has left a huge mark on this culture, right? Our culture. And it's raised awareness about child safety, the role of media in a high profile case. I mean, the ethical implications of just sensationalizing the tragedies. This case sparked conversations about, responsible reporting. I mean, we go back and we look at all these different different things, right? And this has just shaped where we're at today. So, you know, we talked about the recent developments, Dylan. You talked about it earlier. And there's new leads every day. And this case is still fucking unsolved, which is, to be completely candid with you, that's really fucking scary to think about. That this has been 1996 and this baby, her case is still not solved. And somebody out there fucking knows something. It's not one person that knows something. This might be
30 years later.
Yeah, 30 fucking years later, and it's still unsolved. And it's fucked up, right? Because the person or persons did this crime. Somebody else knows something. You do not keep this to your heart. So as we wrap up today's episode, it's very clear that the JonBenét Ramsey case remains a haunting mystery. And we encourage our listeners, again, to stay engaged and keep discussing these important issues. You can leave comments below. But don't forget, we want you to subscribe. We want you to leave a review. But let us know, most importantly, let us know your thoughts on this case. And what you think happened
Sturge,
to JonBenét.
One last plot twist for me.
Yeah. Just got to get the last word in.
No.
No, I'm just teasing.
One last plot twist. So, about a month before this, John was locked out of the house, and he's the one that broke the window to get in.
Yeah, we can go round and round on these theories. I'm done. We're not doing no more theories.
It's not a theory.
It is a theory.
All I'm saying is
there's no proof of that.
It helps the intruder theory because there were multiple windows and the basement door was unlocked.
So we want to hear what you guys think. Was it Santa Claus? Was it, the mom, the dad, the brother? We just saw somebody earlier. I think April said something that it was the brother. We want to hear what you guys want to, what you guys think. But
please tell us how we're wrong.
Please,
and we'll tell you that you're more wrong.
No, we will do it now that we got.
We will
say our leader. We did for one of our episodes. But guys, we love that you joined us.
Yes, thank you.
Until next time, keep sipping and keep solving, baby. I'm Big Sturge.
I'm Justice League.
And I'm Michaela. I forgot. Sorry, Peanut.
Levi, do you want to say goodbye? You can tune yourself in. Let people see you.
I'll say goodbye.
Goodbye, Levi.
Bye, Levi.
Bye.
And we are American
Whiskey.
Peace out.
That was a damn